Some real good advice there. Cowboy up, you better do it. And here he is to talk to us right now. Stephen K., come on in here and say hello.
How you guys doing out there today? How are you today, John?
John?
Well, John's fine. He has his moments. I believe that David has his as well, but,
I can't remember the last moment.
It's hard for him to recognize it, so.
Yeah, it's one of those senior moment things. Glad to have you here, Stephen, and thank you for joining us today, bringing us some music. What's that?
I'm glad to be with you today, y'all.
Hey, it's our pleasure. Tell us a little bit about Stephen K. for the listeners who aren't familiar with you. Where'd you come from? How'd you get into music? How'd you get to where you are today? And maybe in a little bit we'll talk about where you want to go.
Well, let's see here. I've been playing professionally country music my whole life since I was 8 years old. I played on stage with everybody from Charlie Daniels to Clint Black. So I've been playing for a long time, been doing this for a long time. I'm a singer, songwriter, recording artist. I do a little bit of everything. I just got home, as a matter of fact, from my Arizona, Texas winter tour. So we had a good time up there, played a lot of shows for a lot of people, had a great time.
Well, I'm sorry that we found that out too late to do me any personal good. I'm in the Phoenix area. Did you play around Phoenix at all?
We were down around Tucson. We were out in Goldfield, Tombstone, Yuma. Did a little bit of everything. I mostly down in the Southeast Texas area around.
Gotcha.
I was around Katy, Silsbee, Houston, Dallas, all of those. So
we
spent a lot of time
everybody
this winter down where it was warm.
We tell everybody that's on the show to, write a little side note on your to be done your future schedules there. If you happen to be in the Tempe, Arizona, Phoenix area, or you're going into the Naples, Fort Myers area of Florida, let us know, because I'm in the Tempe, Phoenix area. John Bon Jovial's down in Naples, Florida, and we'd sure like to come out and catch your show when you're in town, get to meet you in person. It's a lot more fun than just sitting here talking, but it's a lot of fun sitting here talking, and we really enjoy what we do because we get to meet a lot of artists like you. So you just came off your, this is an annual tour you do?
This is my first large tour this year. I've got a new record label behind me out of the UK. So Dr. John Surgery Records. So John is a fantastic man, and he's great to work with. He's out of the United Kingdom. And he takes good care of me. And as far as tours go, I will be down in Arizona strictly starting in November all the way through March of 2022.
Oh gosh!
I've got about 80 shows to do down there this winter.
Oh, fantastic. I'll be looking forward. Hopefully you'll get into this area here, and I'll get a chance to get out and see you. Maybe we get a chance to sit down and talk for a little while. Love what you're doing. It's as we've talked, John Bon Jovial and I have talked several times on the show. We both, while we have a place, we believe there's a place for all types of music and subgenres and everything. There is a lot to be said for old, or what I call classic country, and you bring back that classic country sound, and I like that. I know John Bon Jovial does. It's refreshing to hear it. I do have to laugh, though, not in a derisive way. I just think it's kind of ironic that we have an American country star from cowboy country that's being produced on a record company from the United Kingdom. That's really you
gotta love it.
You gotta love it. Yeah, we've got a lot of friends over there in the UK. As a matter of fact, we had a guest on here. Was it last week or the week before? Last week, Basie from Nottingham. So there's a rock band out of the London area, Wild Horse, that's been on here several times. Good friends of ours. So we're very familiar with the good people of the UK, and we salute you, congratulate you, and in this day and age, you're friends with whoever's friends with you. You respect who respects you, and you work for whoever treats you right. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a little bit ironic. John Bon Jovial, you're sitting there being awfully quiet and patient. That really scares the devil out of me. You got to have something you want to say.
I'm just waiting for you to shut your yap. That's all, so I can get a word in edgewise. Stephen, I got to tell you, I love I love what you do. As I've mentioned a few times on this show, both David and I we're old school radio guys. David started before me. He started in the '60s, and I started, I think, in 1971. And I jocked country music for many years in the Miami and Tampa areas, and out west, out in California. And so I'm very familiar with the classic country genre. As a matter of fact, I really prefer it compared to today's country. And I love the fact that you are keeping this alive, and that it's something that you can drink a beer to and get up and kick off your shoes and dance to. And I just really hope that you keep doing this, because I love the sound of it. I really do.
Well, it's one of those things. I grew up listening to the oldies, Merle Haggard, George Jones,
oh, yeah,
all of them. I mean, it's Willie Nelson, every one of them. Ferlin Husky was one of my favorites growing up.
Oh, my God.
I'll tell you what, now you're talking about cutting the syrup with a knife. I mean, that's just a beautiful thing.
Well,
I love
Ferlin
that. That Red Sauvine.
Oh, yeah. My grandfather
Yeah.
was really good friends with Ferlin Husky.
Really?
And Ferlin was the one that taught me how to play my first few chords on a guitar.
Oh my gosh, I still get throwbacks in my mind of I hear Little Rock Calling, and
On
great
the Wings
talent.
of a Snow White Dove, man.
Wings of a Dove, yeah.
It's all good stuff, and today's country it's hard to listen to because every song sounds the same. All the stories are gone.
It's fallen into the same trap that John and I were just talking about before you came on, about radio today, and the fact that there is very little, by and large, very little creativity, very little originality. It's all formulaic. This is what makes it happen. This is what we're going to do. And the same with the songwriting, although a lot less now. We were talking with Tommy James here some time back, and he said that was one of the things that he liked about his coming into the business was he was working for a company, Roulette Records, out of New York, and they were in the business for other reasons, so they didn't really have any background in music. And when he had his first big hit, came to him and asked him what he wanted to do next, which was unheard of because the record companies always tell you what you're going to do based on, their research, quote unquote. And he said it was really a surprise to them, but they loved it, the fact that they were able to do what they wanted to, unlike most artists who are told what to do. So yeah, you're absolutely right in your observation, and the fact that country today isn't what it used to be. John?
Yeah, well, touching on that, and I've mentioned this before, of course, this has nothing to do with country music, but I have been for, oh my gosh, most of my life a huge fan of Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. Now, yes, they're not country, but Zappa
well, it depends on what country you're talking about.
Well, that's true, but he did move into Montana, but that's another story. But Zappa did an interview talking about the record business, and when he first got started in it, that the record business was run by a bunch of old white fat guys that really didn't know anything about the music, but it's like, let's put it out there. Yeah, let's see if it works. It may sell, it may not, but you'll never know. And that worked, and it worked fabulously because there was a modicum of creativity from management. And then the so-called young, hip record guys came in because they knew what the kids want to listen to. And this is what has happened to country music today. This is, as soon as you said that with the new country music, that was the first thing that I flashed on. And that they don't know what the heck they're talking about.
Well, you got to take your hat off to Mr. George Strait and Alan Jackson, two of my heroes. Those men are working diligently with their two new albums to bring country music back. It's just one of those amazing things. You got George
Yeah,
Strait.
you get a guy like Marty
He's
Stewart. I mean, he's out there doing it too.
Absolutely.
And I think this is something we touched on, I think it was last week, John. I think that is what is going to keep country music, as we know and love it, alive. The fact that, and we've seen the cycle go before, where you go along and there's a new wave of what to do. I mean, in the 70s, you had the late 60s and 70s, you had the big orchestrations. Now we have this new movement to modern country, which is kind of familiar, kind of reminds me of earlier rock and roll, but that's another story. But I think there was always going to be some purists come along and keep classic country music alive. In spite of the country rock of today, we still have artists that are coming back with the old, pure country sound. And I think that it's artists like that that are going to keep it alive. And I think there will always be a place for classic country.
Always. It's more important. The music's more important than anything else. It's if you're gonna write a song, you're gonna sing a song to a crowd of people. It needs to have a story behind it, and a part of your life and a part of your soul that you put in there. And if that's missing, it's just another song that they're playing on the radio.
Tom T. Hall did that. Tom T. Hall did that. Red Sovine did that storytelling. Heck, Hank Williams did that. And even and his grandson Hank III does that. I'm not going to say too much about Hank II because never been that big of a fan, but the talent gets a generation.
Well, you talk about Tom T. You talk about Tom T. I got to interview him. Oh my gosh, ages ago at the DJ convention in Nashville, and this is going back to the 70s. And I remember. I was a fan of his. I was impressed by his knack for storytelling and making it interesting so you wanted to listen. And I'm thinking, what am I going to talk to this guy about, And by the time I waited in line and got up to talk to him, I just put my recorder down on the table in front of him, shook his hand, and asked him, I says, what is a Tom T. Hall? And it just opened him up, and he spent about 10, 15 minutes telling his story, how he became what he was, what he did, what he liked. It was the Old Dog's Watermelon Wine and everything. It was really, really a classic conversation. I've still got that tape somewhere. Great time. But yeah, it's a thing. Good country music will always survive. It's Americana, and I don't think we'll ever completely lose it. Stephen, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for being with us here today. I want to remind you, as I do all of our guests, you're part of our family now. Once you're on the show, you're part of our family, so we like to keep track of you, where you're going, what you're doing, new stuff you're doing, shows, tours, new music, whatever. And to that end, one of my random social media pages out there, the David Bowers Awards groups page on Facebook, is there for the purpose of music artists, especially guests on the show, to post their stories, anything they want to share with their fans and followers, maybe pick up some more fans and followers. I do warn everybody that we're not very good at keeping secrets, because you post it there, we're going to pick it up and share it on our other social media. But that's to be expected. But anyway, you don't have to send us press releases or anything. Go ahead. You can post it directly there. We'll pick it up and spread the word around. So keep that in mind. And with that being said, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your music. And in the minute or so we have left, tell us about this other kind of bar you're going to sing for us.
Now there's a song that everybody can relate to. We've got aging musicians out there and stuff that have played at honky tonks and clubs and stadiums their whole life. And as you get a little older, you end up playing at different places. You end up drinking at different clubs, playing at different bars.